News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow.
Karen, we begin with politics and the results from a busy night of primaries in a half dozen states. Alabama, Georgia, Idaho, Oregon, Pennsylvania all held elections last night. But the contest with the most attention was in Kentucky, where President Trump flexed his muscle against longtime Republican Congressman Thomas Massie. With nearly all the votes counted, Massie has lost to the president's handpicked challenger, Ed Gallrein, 54.9 to 45.1%. Massie says he's proud of sticking to his principles.
I mean, we stirred up something. There is a yearning in this country for somebody who will vote for principles over party.
And that was Thomas Massie in his concession speech last night. Bloomberg Government's Greg Giroux says President Trump sent a message in this race
to Republicans in primaries who dare to cross him, who dare to Republican incumbents who might be thinking of voting against him on important legislation, particularly if they have upcoming primary elections, to maybe think twice about that and realize the political repercussions that could ensue.
Bloomberg Government's Greg Giroux reports this was also one of the most expensive House primaries in history. Nearly $33 million went into this race for a reliably Republican district.
Well, Nathan, some other key primaries are headed to runoffs. In Georgia, Republicans will keep duking it out for Senate and governor. Congressman Mike Collins and former college football coach Derek Dooley will face each other in the race to take on Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff in November. They got more than 70% of the vote combined and knocked Congressman Buddy Carter out of the race. In the governor's contest, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and healthcare billionaire Rick Jackson advanced to a GOP runoff, getting 38% and 33% respectively. Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms won the Democratic nomination in her primary with 56% of the vote.
In Pennsylvania, Karen, 3 Democrats backed by Governor Josh Shapiro won their primaries in swing districts the party hopes to flip in November. Janelle Stelson, Bob Harvey, and Bob Brooks all won their contests. They will take on Republican Representatives Brian Fitzpatrick, Ryan McKenzie, and Scott Perry in November.
And in Alabama, Nathan, voters will get a rematch between 2 high-profile nominees for governor. Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville and former Democratic Senator Doug Jones easily won their primaries. Tuberville unseated Jones in their last Senate contest 6 years ago. For full coverage of the primaries, Bloomberg Balance of Power with Joe Matthew and Kaylee Lyons are live in Georgia this afternoon with the latest on the issues impacting voters. It begins at noon Wall Street time on Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app.
Well, now, Karen, let's get you the latest on the war with Iran. President Trump is once again threatening to resume strikes if Tehran doesn't reach a deal soon, and he says he won't wait much longer.
I mean, I'm saying 2 or 3 days, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something, maybe early next week, a limited period of time.
President Trump spoke to reporters at the White House ballroom construction. We get more from Bloomberg Middle East correspondent Jumana Bersecci.
He's made these sort of threats before. He's given deadlines before and tends to extend them. So we can't take them perhaps too seriously or at his word. I think what we can piece together from all of this is there has been a huge, once again, diplomatic push, not least by Gulf states. And he specifically referenced the fact that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE are pushing to get to a diplomatic solution.
Bloomberg's Jumana Bersecci reports Vice President J.D. Vance is striking a more positive tone as well, saying progress is being made toward a deal and more military strikes are an option B. Still, there are signs of discontent on Capitol Hill. The Senate has advanced a war powers resolution with outgoing Louisiana Republican Bill Cassidy flipping his vote on that measure. And Bloomberg News has learned NATO is considering a military deployment to protect ships if the Strait of Hormuz isn't reopened by July.
Well, Nathan, Chinese President Xi Jinping is stepping up calls to end the war. The Chinese leader is hosting his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, in Beijing. Xi called for a comprehensive ceasefire, saying, quote, restarting war is even more unacceptable. Russia and China are the 2 of Iran's biggest backers. And President Putin and Xi praised the strength of their relationship as both countries seek to reinforce bilateral ties.
In Europe, Karen, the European Union's finalized the text on its long-awaited U.S. trade deal after months of negotiations. This clears a major hurdle to ratifying the pact before President Trump's threatened deadline for higher tariffs. We get more from Bloomberg Chief Europe correspondent Oliver Crook.
What it now needs to do is go back to Parliament for a vote. It will have to go back before the member states. But of course, you'll remember that Donald Trump has amped up the pressure on the Europeans, saying that there will be an additional tariff on automobiles that will go up to 25% if they do not accelerate this process. He set as the deadline July the 4th, the 250th birthday of the United States, that it needs to get done. And so now the Europeans are really accelerating. So hopefully everything's on track for them to get that over the line.
Bloomberg's Oliver Crook says the deal initially struck last July would see the EU erase levies on U.S. industrial goods in exchange for a 15% tariff ceiling on its exports.
And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.